Now, I struggle with that image in part because there are those who use the language of the cross to keep people in their place. We all have our cross to bear. How many of us have heard that sort of language? And rather, what Jesus is saying, each of us have a cross to bear in terms of living what it means to be disciples. Following in this way. Perhaps one of the most notable writers of this in the last 100 years is Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He wrote the book, The Cost of Discipleship, saying it's not an easy road or an easy way. Rather, we are called to stand up against injustice. We are called to speak out for those that are in need. We are called to let all of our allegiances fall by the way, recognizing our being rooted and grounded in God. Rooted and grounded in that message of hope, of life, of promise. For Bonhoeffer, like many of those who had worked to live this discipleship, it led to a place of death, executed by the Nazi soldiers, and yet he never gave up on the message. And that becomes our challenge. Are we willing to live this message even when the rest of society points us in other directions? Bigger is better. The more money, the more power. How many friends can you get on Facebook? How many people can you have in your social network? Our society calls us to all of these allegiances. And the message today calls us to simplify and recognize that which is of primary significance. It is that message that allowed Paul to go out and proclaim the good news and invited others into that. The story today of Onesimus and Philemon. An opportunity to let the chains of slavery fall away. An opportunity for love to be revealed, for promise to be made known. It points us to a way of life with God and Christ as the center. And the Hebrew text for today calls us to choose life. We are reminded that it is not an empty promise, or it is not without relationship. Why should the Hebrew people choose life? But that this is the God who has journeyed with them. Journeyed with them in Egypt and in the Exodus. This is the God who continues to hold them close and will not let them go. And from that love, from that relationship, they are called to live in new and powerful ways. Jesus follows in that same sense of covenant making and relationship building. And then invites us to live fully, richly. As we gather, what would it mean for us to stand at the font and cry? To recognize that each of our lives is going to be different than what we would ever dream of. Because there at the font, in a sense, we are coming out as a person or people of faith. What would it mean to stand at the font and sob, knowing that our lives will be harder than what we would ever hope or ever expect. That because we follow this one we proclaim as Christ, and we work for peace, we stand for justice, we build intentional community, and we share with one another in radical ways, that we are reshaped and known deeply, powerfully. There is an authenticity that comes through at the font. The question is, what will it mean for each of us as we live that out? Letting things go. Living into promise with great joy, fear, awe, and our own share of tears as we walk forward, following the cross, following the way.